It's called a lance. Hello?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 0 of season 2 of It's Called a Dragonlance. In this episode, we are going to be doing kind of a preamble about all the stuff before chapter 1.
Yes.
This is kind of like we did before season 1, where we had this first episode that is meant to be listened to with no required reading. So if you have not picked up a copy of the book, you can still listen to this episode and decide if you want to listen along with us. So let me introduce my co-host today. My not just co-host today, my always co-host, my forever co-host, Auntie Haunty.
Hello. How are you, Will?
I am good. Usually we have a third host, Austin co-host, but he is busy this recording session, so don't expect to see him until episode 2 of this season. So that means episode 0 and episode 1 he will be gone, but we will see him in episode 2.
We miss you, buddy.
We miss you. Come back. So yeah, we probably have some new listeners who have skipped book 1 in this episode, and that's for a couple reasons. We invited a bunch of people from my normal YouTube channel to join us for a stream where we watched the Dragonlance movie, which means there's a group of people who are now like half caught up on the first book, and they might just want to skip to join us in the second book.
True. Yeah.
And then my YouTube channel's also going to be kind of recapping the first book in my Dragonlance video game video, so we might get a bunch of people from there who also skipped the first book. So yeah, this may be your introduction to Dragonlance.
Yeah. And what a good introduction it is. I mean, it's definitely the stronger of the first two books in the series, I feel.
I completely agree. The first book has its merits. It's quite a good book, but it is quite tropey. It's very like classical adventure stuff, whereas this one, it's more of a war story. We start getting some deeper character work. We get a lot of conflict. It's really good, you guys. I think this is the best Dragonlance book.
It is so good. I would add to what you just said that, I think the first book, Autumn Twilight, is a very simple read in many ways. It's very direct, right, with everything. They do a lot of things. I know in previous episodes I had talked a lot about foreshadowing throughout the book and how artfully Margaret Wise foreshadows and uses other literary devices. But she really goes hard with all of that in this book in a way that I think makes it a deeper read than the previous one. Just from a structural perspective of the writing, even this is much better. much better.
I agree, and it also really shows off those complexities of the characters, because in the first book most of the characters are tropey in a way, but with more complexity than the trope, whereas book 2 we start to really get those payoffs, especially with, I mean, no spoilers, but especially with the character of Sturm. You start to see a lot more of this guy by the end of this, and you'll understand Sturm so much better by the end of this book.
Yes, this is definitely one. How to say this again without being spoilery? I think this is the book that really cements Sturm in most Dragonlance fans' memories.
Oh, it's hard not to, and we'll get to that at the time. I'm so excited to show Austin.
Oh, I know. Oh my God, the art,
the art of it all.
Yes.
All right. Anything else we should say? Oh yes. If you are new to this podcast and you do not already have your copy of Dragons of Winter Night, we would prefer it, if you can, to use our link down below to pick up the book. It is a really good way to support the channel. It throws us a couple cents of commission every person who buys it. It's basically our only funding on this channel right now. It's not a lot, but every bit helps. Microphones can get upgraded with that money, etc., etc.
And we don't have to send Austin out to rob banks and steal pocket money from orphans.
It's true.
Not why he's not here at all. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
but actually,
we will say that. Go ahead.
I was going to say the book is an omnibus of the Chronicles books. So if you do go and follow that link and you haven't read Autumn Twilight, it is in the book. It's the first third of the book, so you'll be able to read it at your leisure, and you'll be able to you'll already have a book in hand for when we get to the third book in the trilogy. Very convenient.
Exactly. I think we've got some digital copies and stuff down there if that's what you prefer, but the omnibus is surprisingly good value. It wasn't that expensive. It's a really good, it's a really good quality omnibus. I love the cover. This is one of those books that looks real good up on the shelf.
And it really holds together super well. I've already gone through like a whole house move with it, and obviously I'm reading it in, not politely at a desk, but in my bed where things get knocked around and pushed, and it's in great shape still. Like it holds up very, very nicely.
It's really kind of the dream of the re-release. It just came out, I think like 2 weeks after we started doing this podcast. Really perfect timing. We didn't really plan for that.
Yeah. It was just almost like the universe said, go. Tell people about this book.
Indeed. So, let's get into the stuff. This will be kind of a short episode because we're kind of just giving a preamble. Once again, you don't need to have read the book in order to do this. We're going to walk you through everything that's in this like first couple pages before chapter 1. So we start out with the Song of the Nine Heroes. What do we want to say about this one?
It is the longest of the song.
We had a discussion previously that no one on this podcast is a particularly big fan of song breaks.
There's a few that I like in the book that stick in memory. I like a lot of Tasselhoff's songs whenever he does manage to sing. But these long epics, these ballads, I think they're intentionally written in a stodgy way, but like I have ADHD, and so I can't really make it through the stodgier lines, and this one is especially so.
Yes, this one's this one's tough.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's not meant to be like an epic myth of Dragonlance. It's not revealing lore of the world. It's kind of doing what we are doing right now. It's just meant to be a summary at the beginning of the second book of the first book. So it's like a modern for Dragonlance, a modern bard's telling of these adventures that the heroes have had, and a dwarven bard no less. So it's going to be.
Very much so. So
rough.
Essentially the Song of Nine Heroes here is it's about a paragraph of recap of what they did, which is mostly the North was dangerous, and then they had an adventure. And then it's a bunch of individual paragraphs describing the cast with the same sort of chorus line at the end of under the autumn twilight. As the world declined, they arose into the heart of the story. Kind of over and over, they say that.
Yeah, little bit meta. Into the heart of the story. I mean, this dwarven bard bothers me. No. How does he know there's a story to be told? I guess he's a bard, but still.
It's his job. He knows.
It is his job. The one dwarf whose job isn't making something. But it is also there to
something.
It is there to explain a time jump, though, as well. Right, that this is sort of the because this is about, like you said, their adventure to what? Get the hammer.
No, this I don't think
they don't
even
even get
covers
into
the
that, do
hammer.
they?
No, the hammer is we time skip after this song. But yeah, so it basically covers the little call to action that the heroes had. We can give you a real high level of what happened on the first book. Bunch of heroes met at a tavern. The gods are gone. They find a sign of the gods. They adventure to find the gods. They find them.
They do.
They meet
Three
some
of them.
elves. And then they go and rescue a bunch of prisoners, and they kill a real big beefy guy named Verminard. Also, the dragons are back, and that's a problem because nothing can kill the dragons.
Right, except other dragons.
And plot relevant things can also kill dragons.
Yeah, they kill, actually, of the three dragons that we see named, they kill two of them. Just get rid of it. Actually, all three of them. They get all three of them dead. Just super dead. No lances involved.
Yeah.
And that's why in my head canon, most of them are still alive. I think all three of them are still alive somehow.
Yes. So the book ends with them taking these 800 prisoners that they rescued from Pax Tharkus and attempting to find somewhere safe for them. We got a little wedding scene when the refugees had all holed up in a valley for a while, just long enough for Gold Moon and Riverwind to get married.
Yes.
And then that's where it ends. And then there's a little time skip that we'll talk about with this next scene. Do you want to?
A little time skip is great. Is gracious of you. It's
it's a pretty big time skip.
Yeah.
Do you want to walk us through this this hammer scene, and we'll talk about the time skip.
Let's. So the hammer, which is still prologue, it's not yet chapter 1 of book 1, is basically it's the setup is the heroes are there with all of the refugees in Thorbarden in the throne room, right, where we see all of these empty thrones for the different mountain dwarf clans. And they are presenting, or rather Elliston, your favorite, is presenting the hammer of Kharas or Kharas, who knows. This mythic hammer that was used to forge the Dragonlances is being presented and given as a gift to the dwarves so that they can once again have a king and reorganize their people and bring them back under a singular banner. And no one wants to be there other than the dwarves. The dwarves are real stoked. They're having a great time. But Tanis doesn't want to be there. Sturm doesn't want to be there and is especially upset about the hammer being given away because he wants to make Dragonlances. And Elliston is doing the political thing, being really gracious with the dwarves, but most of the other refugees don't want to be there. In fact, nearly all of them don't want to be there because they would like to be somewhere else, living a more humanesque life.
Yeah, they don't want to be underground. It's not a great place to farm, and these are a bunch of farmers.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets described that they can make a farm on the side of the mountain, but it's not going to work well, and that would essentially mean a life of poverty for all of them.
Yes, because they, as farmers, raised beds. I don't know, but we also learned that what is this where we learn about the door of Thorbar? No, we don't. We also see a bit of a conversation at the end of this section between Sturm, Tanis, and Raistlin, which is always fireworks in a Dragonlance book because these three have that real special dynamic where Raistlin and Sturm are always at odds with each other, although it's mostly Sturm's fault, and Tanis is kind of caught in the middle. Yeah. I mean, Raistlin definitely eggs Sturm on, at every possible chance, but it only works because Sturm has decided in advance that he just does not like Raistlin at all.
It's true.
Yeah, and they have an interesting conversation about the Dragonlance and the hammer, and then that's pretty much it. It's the aftermath of the adventure that we never see, which a lot of people in the Dragonlance community have kind of not been upset. That's like a really strong. No one. I don't think anyone's like mad about it, but people had always been for many years. Were always kind of like, I wonder what happened here. I wonder why they left this part out. What could have been this adventure?
Yeah,
because it's it's not even in the modules.
No, it is in the modules, I think, isn't it?
In the original modules, was it? I don't remember it being in the original modules. But...
Oh no, the module was just like the road to Thorabarden. I just assumed that you would find the hammer at the end of that, or as part of that module. Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I don't think that there was ever. I don't think the Hammer of Kharas is a treasure in those.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it gets the same treatment.
Dragonlance does tend to have this tendency, because this isn't the only time this is going to happen, where we get a big time skip where it's like, the party went on this big quest and there was a lot of character development and you just don't get to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if it's going to say it in the copy of the book we've got right now, but I have this distinct memory as a kid of reading, I think it was this book exactly, Winter Night, where there's this one little chapter break, and then suddenly there's a little note saying, to find out what happened in this break, go check out this spin-off novel. Now moving on.
Oof. Yeah, oof. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in this book. I can't imagine it would be.
I don't remember where that was. That might have just been my copy as a kid.
Right.
Because I was reading probably a 2008 copy. It was probably advertising the spin-offs that were just recently being written.
Right, because Dragonlance books were being published en masse for years and years and years. It's a big library if you go through all of the Dragonlance books.
It's hundreds, yeah.
Yeah.
We had said during season 1, we had a little reminiscing that back in the day, like you used to go into a Chapters or any other bookstore and fully about a quarter of the fantasy section would be Dragonlance books. It was huge. It was so much, like it took up so much shelf space, and they were really popular.
And really present, like not just in terms of numbers, but the binding of all these paperbacks had a very uniform style, right? They always had like the spine for each trilogy. Like this first trilogy, you have the spine that's red, blue, green. And for the Legends trilogy, you have these like metallic colored spines. And then you have like the marble spines of all of the short story compilations and things. So like when you would see Dragonlance books all together on a shelf, like visually too, they commanded attention in a way that a lot of other more like what's the word, disconnected looking novels on the same shelves didn't command. So it was smart. It was very smart.
So what do we want to say about this scene other than the time skip? I think it's interesting that this is clearly like not a big event for the heroes. They don't really want to do this. Their reward isn't that good. They're like allowed to settle in this place that they don't want to settle, but really what they were after is just to be able to pass through the Dwarven realm safely.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is a huge deal for the dwarves. Like they got this ancient sacred hammer that was promised to them, that was stolen from them. And they've like united all of their clans in this mountain range now. This is a big deal for them.
It is a big deal for them. And we see that obviously they're partying very, very hard throughout this whole sort of situation.
And giving praise to someone who notably wasn't the one who got the hammer.
Yeah.
Elliston getting credit for everyone else's hard work again.
Oh, poor jacked, handsome old Elliston. It's
bastard.
true though, and it is. I mean, it's very important for the dwarves, and it's also, I think that's part of why Sturm is so upset, right? It's because it could potentially be as important for everybody, because I mean, Sturm does point out the hammer is one of the necessary ingredients for forging the Dragonlances, right?
Yeah.
And he's confused about why they're giving it away. Although, I mean, I while I was reading this section, I was in my head thinking the whole time, you guys, when it comes time to make the Dragonlances, you can just go back and ask. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure the dwarves would be happy. It even says, like, you know, Sturm quotes himself. He quotes, you know, this whole passage about the Hammer of Kharas, saying that the dwarves will have given assurances that it will be brought forth when it is needed again, right? He says it himself, and he's still like, I can't believe we're giving it to dwarves. And I'm like, bro, relax.
Honestly, I would also be a little bit sore about it because, as we said, what a piddling reward they got. Being
True.
allowed to settle in a place that they don't want to settle.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, the dwarves could have been giving them some more assistance, at the very least, with like setting up, I don't know, farmland or something somewhere, somehow. Dwarves are obviously good at surviving down there, but, you know.
Or just asked for a way lower price than a group of refugees could have given them.
Yeah,
like, you
for
have
real.
to find an ancient relic in order to be allowed to pass through.
Yes. Although the mountain dwarves, I mean, in Dragonlance are extremely isolationist in general.
That makes sense.
Even mountain dwarves, even hill dwarves aren't
Right,
really
because
like
Flint's
allowed
a
to go
hill
there.
dwarf, isn't he? And he
Yes.
was complaining about the mountain dwarves in the intro of the first book, I think, right?
Yes, the hill dwarves are the clans that left the mountains to go and live among the people. They're like just people themselves, right? Whereas the mountain dwarves are the isolationist ones. Very similar to a dynamic that we'll see among the elven peoples too.
Yes.
In the first couple of chapters, where the Qualinesti are the elven equivalent of the hill dwarves, suggesting a elven equivalent of the mountain dwarves. So, you know. But yeah, no, it's just it's a scene, you know. It's a scene. I think the most important thing in the scene is probably just this conversation that Raistlin and Sturm and Tanis have. I think, and that's why it's like 90% of the section. But
Yeah.
Raistlin kind of gets his shots in at Sturm with his illusionary Dragonlance that he offers Sturm, which Sturm really should have expected to like not be real. Like, I don't know why he was so overcome initially, or why he was upset when it turned out to be an illusion. But I think Raistlin was trying to tell him something.
It was a pretty obvious illusion. Sturm is not a magic guy.
Yeah, no, he is not a magic guy. But our magic, I do think, you know, I'm going to bring this up when we get into chapter 1, actually. I'm going to jump back to this section when we get to chapter 1.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
There'll be a fair bit to jump in because this is pretty connected to chapter 1. So in the next episode, we will reference this a bunch.
It really could have been the beginning of chapter 1, probably. It maybe didn't need to be its own
I
section.
like thought it was when I was writing my paragraph outline or my plot outline for the next book or the next chapter. So I don't know. It's very connected to the next stuff. I do find that despite it being a very jarring time skip, I find that these 3 pages, they do a good job of laying out like, hey guys, just so you know, there was a time jump. This is the thing that happened. Don't worry, you didn't miss much. You know.
Yeah. It makes the reader, like, even if it doesn't necessarily tell you everything that happened in that time jump, it makes the reader more comfortable with the time jump. Like, you kind of don't think about it again after that. You know, you just move on with the rest of the story.
Yep. Well, that's probably about all we got to say. This was a short section. This is episode 0.
Yes.
So wow. I guess that was nice and quick. Thank you all for listening to It's Called a Dragonlance.
That feels really short. I just feel like
I know it's weird recording an episode that isn't an hour long at this point. We've grown unhinged.
Absolutely.
So
I just feel like there's something we're missing.
I know, but I think we covered it pretty thoroughly.
Did you turn off your oven?
6 pages.
Did you turn the oven off before you left? Did you turn off the sink?
Oh no, I recorded the podcast and I didn't close the garage door. So, we hope to see you in episode 1. Auntie Haunty, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on YouTube at Auntie Haunty Games is the channel name. And now you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Auntie Haunty, where I am now variety streaming, I guess, which has been really fun. So come and check me out there, please.
Her streams have been really good.
Oh my God, stop it.
And I get to be there to translate German words.
It's true. That was so helpful. Oh my God. What a moment.
And yeah, you can find me at youtube.com/WilliamSRD, where I review D&D and other tabletop related video games. So yeah, see you guys next week.